Hello and welcome back to Site Management Bootcamp. In this video, we are going to be talking about the procurement process and what are the documents that will come in procurement process. So what is procurement? In simple words, it is all about acquiring or purchasing the materials, equipments, items or services required for the completion of project. Now, since this is something that is highly advanced and not exactly given for freshers, however, people with slight site experience can get into these kind of roles based on your communication skills and your network in the industry. Very highly confident candidates can go into these kind of roles way early in their career, which is going to boost their network, their status, as well as their pay scale compared to a normal site engineer as well. So in construction, this will refer to all the goods and services required to complete the building. So from the inception stage to the finish stage. So we'll be looking at the process itself. So how does the cash flow works, or how does the process of procurement works? Let's assume equipment, not the materials, equipment. So for the equipment, every contractor will have a budget or the capex or capital expenditure. Correct? So that is called a capex. So basically a budget. Let's say I'm a contractor, I have a 2 crore budget on equipment. So I need one equipment at 2 crores. Let's say a concrete mixer, a very advanced concrete mixer. So I have 2 crores. So what will I do? I will go for a purchase request. So I will request my procurement team that, you know what, I need a concrete mixer and my budget is 2 crore. From then, it will be going for the analysis. And during that analysis, if there are any deviations that are required, that means if there is no good concrete mixer at 2 crores, either it is 50 lakh, 60 lakh, which is average, or it is 3.5, 4 crore, then the deviations will be checked. That means, do I have to bring down and go for a 50 lakh one and save that 1.5 crore into something else? Or should I invest more and go for the 3 crore one? So let's assume we have gone for the 50 lakh one, which is the average concrete mixer. So that deviation will go for approval, and that, if approved, will come back, and then it will go for allocation. Allocation, as in who are the resources responsible to get this equipment. So once this equipment is approved, it will go for allocated to the purchase manager or the procurement team, and one of the procurement managers or the leads will take up the responsibility of getting this item at the cost. Then it will go for either a cash purchase or inquiry. Cash purchases is basically like how you do in showroom. You go, you pay the money and you get it. Or not exactly the car or bikes. I'm talking, let's say, shopping mall. You go, you pay and you get it. That is cash purchase. If you don't have authority to go for a cash purchase, or if you don't have the system to go for a cash purchase, then you inquire. You ask all the dealers in the town. You ask all the dealers outside the town. Where is the cheapest one? The same specification, the same brand. Where is the cheapest one? Which dealer is going to give you advance, discounts? Which dealer is going to give you the best delivery method? Which dealer has the best sales and services? Because with equipment, most important is not the selling of it; it is the servicing of it. Hence, the competitive analysis will be done, comparisons will be done, and the quotes will be taken. So quotations will be sent as well. Once the quotations are sent, the analysis is done. Then the contractor will be choosing one of, let's say, 6 or 7 dealers. With that one, the purchase order will be sent. The purchase order will go to the vendor or the supplier. And if there are any amendments that needs to be done with the purchase order, it will be discussed and it will come back. Once the purchase order is done, then you send it to the vendor and the equipment comes to the site. Then it is the headache of the stores. So once it comes to the site, the stores will have to go for it. And the other part of the process flow will be, once it comes to the store, according to the amendments of the purchase order and the terms and conditions of the purchase order, the payment will be paid to the equipment vendor as well, or the supplier as well, or the dealer as well. So this is a simple flow of procuring an equipment at site. The other part of procurement will be in terms of materials as well. So what is construction procurement process for the materials or the plants? The first thing that we need to have is place material or plant request from project sites. That means the project manager or the procurement manager will be placing a request to the head office or the branch office or whichever office is controlling the entire projects. So request will be sent. It will go to the accounts team or the finance team. They will look at the budget. They will see whether this is affordable or not. And the second step will be have approval levels for materials. That means whether each material has been approved by the client as well as your own procurement team. If the procurement team feels like this material cannot be procured with the budget we have, it is important for this team to be transparent, and you should go to the client and say that, you know what, this material we cannot get at this price because that material is extinct or it's not available in the vicinity of the site, huge delivery charges, or in terms of lead time. Lead time means the duration between purchase order and the delivery. So if it is something that needs to be imported and it takes 2 months to get imported through ship, but the project is only 10 months. So it is very important for the contractor to be transparent and say to the client, sir, this is not going to work. This material cannot be procured in the same time. Hence, let's go with another material. That is very important, being transparent, especially in terms of materials. Because if material delivery becomes late, client will easily blame the contractor. That is why it is very important to be transparent. So the second step is have approval of all the materials. When you say approval and get it done through mobile app. Now again, mobile app is something that only the premium companies do. What about the small companies? They might not have through mobile app. They will have it through emails or a system or a software tool or phone calls. Third is centralized purchase team management for materials and consumable. Why is it important to have a centralized team? So whenever we're talking about centralized team, the reason why it is very important is if you have one purchase team or procurement team in the head office who handles procurement for all the projects across India or across the state, they can order in bulk, they can sign the deal for multiple projects. So what happens with that? The more quantity you order, the less the amount of the material will be. So if I'm ordering in bulk, then I can ask for huge discounts. This is very similar to your vegetable. So if you go to a retail market and you buy vegetables, let's say 1 kg of onion, you have to pay the MRP or whatever is there stated. But these hotels and restaurants, they go to the APMC or the mandi and they take wholesale. So with the dealers, they take wholesale. When they take wholesale, they are getting at 60% of what cost we are paying for 1 kilo of onion or 50%. Why? Because the bulk order is being ordered. Same thing works in construction as well. So this is why we look at centralized teams, because let's say a company is big and it is a nationwide company. They have around 20 projects across India. Now, me sitting in Bengaluru don't know what projects we have in Delhi or what projects we have in Kolkata or in Kanpur or Lucknow, wherever. But the central team will know or the head office will know. So if I order in bulk or if I sign a deal in bulk, better prices. And if it is better prices, it is profit margin for the company end of the day. So then centrally create RFQs to vendors for material purchase initiation. RFQ is request for quotations. So request for quotation is basically sent to the vendor and the vendor will raise the quotations. The vendor will send the quotations for each of those material according to the specification. Then we go for upload or capture quotations and generate comparison statements. Of course, when we are looking at negotiations, we should never go with just one team. We should always have 3 to 4 teams. We should inquire from 3 to 4 teams or 3 to 4 vendors or dealers, compare their prices, compare their delivery system, compare their sales and services, compare their customer service, compare their relationships as well. Because sometimes what happens, if you are in a good term with the vendor, they will always prioritize you as a client over other clients. But if you're in a bad term with the vendor, then they will not push extra to send your material as soon as possible. So it is very important for us to maintain all those things as well. Hence, these comparisons need to be made. Once the comparisons are made, next we issue order or purchase orders or work orders. Again, centrally or sometimes site also, depending on the materials. If it is a material required for all the projects in India, then centrally. If it is a material required for that specific location or that specific project only, then the site purchase team will go for it. So once the purchase orders are given for centrally available materials, so these things will come with editable terms and conditions and amendments also. So editable terms and conditions means what? Few terms and conditions will be agreed upon by the central team. The other terms and conditions will be changed upon the local teams or the site teams. Let's say the payment is agreed by the central team, but the delivery dates can be agreed upon by the local team because, let's say, for example, I have to order paints and let's say, I'll give our own example. So we wanted paints for the metro project. So when I was assisting one of my colleague with procurement of paints, we went upon Berger, Nippon, and Asian paints. So all these three good quality, Indigo as well, Indigo paints as well. So all of these four good quality. So what we did is we signed a central deal with Asian Paints, but Asian Paints plant is very near to Mumbai. So project in Mumbai had a delivery date of or lead time of 3 days. There is no plant right next to Bangalore. So the problem was the lead time was 6 days. So that deal only the site team can sign, not the Mumbai or the head office team. So it is very important for few terms and conditions to be signed by the central team, few terms and conditions to be signed by the site team. Right? The next step will go to decision making of requested materials to go with the purchase orders, either in terms of purchase order, hire order, which is basically work order, cash purchase or extension of own material transfer and machinery. So decision making of requested materials to go with the purchase order means who gets to decide when to give the purchase order. That is something that will happen at the site level itself. See, sending purchase order is one, writing terms and conditions is one, but approving it is something that the site team will do. Because the site team will know whether I have enough space in my store to keep this material or not. Let's say the material will come in 6 days, but in 6 days my store is already full. I have some other material coming. So what I do, if there is not enough requirement of this material in the next 6 days, I will not order it. That decision making will have to go with the site team and not the central team. The next one will be create RFQs to vendors and get replies through vendor portal or email or phone call if it's a small scale. Generate comparative statements and choose the right supplier. This is again with the site team only, not the centralized team. Like I told, if the vendor is a national vendor, let's say Asian Paints, then you can go with the central procurement team. If I need nuts and bolts, or if I need, let's say, granite. So we had something called as Sadhalli granite. Sadhalli is a place right next to Bangalore. So Sadhalli granite was in our BOQ. So Sadhalli granite is location specific. Similar to laterite stones. We had laterite stones in the project. So laterite stones is very specific to Karnataka. So a Delhi project will not order it. A Kolkata project will not order it. Only a Bengaluru project might order it. Hence, site team also should do the same thing like central team in terms of RFQs, in terms of selecting multiple vendors, doing the comparative analysis, and choosing the right supplier. Once you compare the quotations with earlier ones given by the same vendor, in terms of the work activities, locations, or periods. So if there are some, or let's say materials, I'll give an example. So we have something called as an adhesive. Adhesive basically is used with lightweight block. Instead of mortar, we use adhesive, chemical adhesives. So these kind of adhesive also comes in powder state, which is similar to mortar. You just mix it with water and you put it on the masonry of lightweight blocks. The thickness is around 3 mm to 4 mm. which is very less compared to the mortar. Hence, for lightweight blocks, adhesive is chosen. Very simple example is, let's say the central team. I'll give you one of the vendors. There are two major vendors. One is Saint Gobain and one is Ramco. So Ramco has a product called as BlockFix, which is highly approved. So Ramco again is a pan-India company. Saint Gobain, pan-world company. So central team would have contacted them and asked them for a discounted rate for all the projects in India. So would have got a discount. Similarly, even the site team should put up an RFQ for the same item. That means Ramco BlockFix, and ask the dealer or the manufacturer directly and say that we want a cheaper rate than that. Is it possible? Yes. Reason being, in India especially, regionalism, religion, caste, best in terms of language, all those things does matter. Now, if I'm sitting in Bengaluru, if I'm a Kannada or Kannadiga, I get a call from Delhi head office. They speak in English or Hindi, which is okay with me. But if someone comes to me who is a localite, whom I know from past 10 years, or who's from the same city, there is some bias, especially in Indian markets. That is why with, let's say, Bengaluru vendors, someone who knows Kannada will go. With a Chennai vendor, someone who knows Tamil will go. The reason is they can negotiate better because they feel included when they are from the same region or a religion or a caste or any of that sort. Now, is it something that we should be preaching in corporate world? Absolutely no. We always talk about diversity, inclusive, workplace culture, but construction is very unorganized and unprocessed yet. Hence, this does work. So if I go to Ramco, Ramco is a Tamil Nadu company. So let's say I send someone who knows Tamil, they will negotiate. There are chances that I might get a cheaper deal compared to the pan-India deal as well. So that also needs to be done. And then procurement operations integrated with finance and accounts payable. That means whatever document has been verified, whatever approval has been given, whatever purchase order has been provided, that needs to be integrated with the accounts team and the finance team as well. Reason being, they are the ones who are going to pay for that. So accounts and finance will look at whether this is according to our budget. Accounts will clear it and make the entire profit loss statements or balance sheets and everything required to run the project and to keep the project in check. Now, this will be the procedure or the process for a material or a vendor finalization in procurement. Now, let's look at the key reports that are required. One is the material purchase price trends and vendor comparison. So these are the reports that the contractor has to provide for each and every material. For each material, write down all the vendors, write down the prices that they are quoting, compare it not just with the price but with the other things also. So whether they are GST certified, whether they have an incorporation certificate, whether they are reputed. When I say reputed, whether they have done big projects before. So eligibility criteria as well. The second one will be supplier-wise purchase details comparison for the same material. So supplier-wise purchase details as in their past, how much of this supply have they done? Let's say I have a deal with granite dealer and the deal is worth 4 crores. So this is what happened in our project also. The granite deal was around 4.2 crores. So we had to have around 4-5 dealers. We check their comparisons. One dealer was very cheap compared to others, around -7% cheaper. But we didn't go with that guy. Only reason because he has never done a project as big as 4 crores. His biggest project was only 80 lakhs. So that is why we rejected, because we don't know whether he can pull off a 4 crore project or not. We went with the second one, even though it was 7% expensive, because his biggest deal was 8.2 crores. So we knew that, okay, this guy can pull 4 crores. It's not a huge amount for him. So that also needs to be done. Third will be item-wise purchase details comparison for material from same supplier. That means if you're ordering from the same supplier for different items, how are the material, how are the prices varying? Let's say I order, like I told, multiple from, let's say, Asian Paints. So there are multiple paints. There is synthetic enamel, there is emulsion, there is plastic emulsion, then there is primer, or multiple items. So for each item, what are the prices that they are quoting? That also needs to be taken in consideration, because you will not be ordering only one material from same vendor. There are chances of ordering multiple materials also. It is easier to order multiple materials from same vendor because management is easy. Let's say you're ordering emulsion from one vendor, enamel from one vendor, primer from one vendor. Then it is a huge complexion in terms of understanding and managing different vendors at the same time. Next is requisition tracking. Requisition tracking means wherever the request is provided for the material order, till the material delivery and the payment, the entire thing needs to be tracked. Similar to what we do with your Swiggy or Zomato. What do? We order, suddenly the map shows up. Where is the restaurant? Where is your home? If there is a delivery executive assigned, then that location will be given. The order tracking will be given in terms of GPS also, where exactly the delivery person is. Same thing will be done with these kind of materials also. Then we look at comparative statement. Comparative statement includes all the necessary documents. Like I told, incorporation certificate, ISO certification, previous projects. If they have done any government project, that also is an advantage. What is the biggest project that they have done? What is their manufacturing capacity? How many trucks or lorries do they have for delivery? Or if they are not taking care of delivery, what is the cost per delivery? What is the price comparison? All those things will be checked. What is their customer relation ratings? So we'll be asking other contractors or other competitors also about how is this vendor. So normally what happens is, I used to ask a couple of my friends who are in different projects, what do you think of Asian Paints? What do you think of Saint Gobain? Because they would have used that in their previous projects. So they used to tell, hey, don't go for Asian Paints. They're not that great. Or sometimes they would say, go for Asian Paints. They're really good. Their customer service is also really good. So that also adds in comparative statement. And the last one, based on all these things, we give a vendor rating. The vendor rating report is also very important. And using that vendor rating, we'll be choosing which vendor to go ahead and which vendor to be rejected. Now, this is how procurement works. One thing you have to understand is, yes, you sign a deal with one vendor, but always keep a plan B. Reason is, you never know with any vendor, no matter how big the vendor is, how trustable the vendor is, there are always chances that there might be something wrong. It might go something wrong in the later stages. In that case, you need to have good relationship with another vendor also. All right. But don't sign deals with multiple vendors, sign with one, but keep one in good relationships. That is how you can control the pricing. Because if you don't have good relationships with another vendor, you've rejected all the vendors, and the present vendor is not supplying on time, has issues with delivery, has issues with the quality of the product, then if you disqualify this vendor and go for a new vendor again, the cost will be higher because the leverage is with the vendor now. You don't have the leverage now. Correct? So the vendor will quote higher. Hence, it is important to keep good relationships with the vendors. So this is how procurement works in construction projects. In the next video, we'll be looking at the documentation and the processes used in execution and quantity surveying as well. So see you in the next video.